Hello, Miss Jess here. I'm going to show you how to make a no-sew scrunchie. And it was super easy, and I would highly recommend doing it. Look at, I made that. Made it. No sewing. Very fun. You could do it with whatever fabric you want. I have this fabric, which is pretty amazing. So let me show you how, because I'm really excited. And I do have some tips, and I'm also going to suggest that if you do sew, whether with a machine or your hand sew, this would also be extremely easy to turn into a very low sew rather than no sew project. And it may add to the longevity of the scrunchie. So just keep that in mind. Alright, here's what I did. I had scissors. I had my fabric, obviously. I'm going to switch over to this awesome buffalo plaid fabric that I found. This is, I think it's a bandana, and I'm going to use it as so. Fat quarters would also work very well, and we are going to cut it, and I will show you the measurements in a moment. Then I also have a ruler, a bunch of safety pins. I got some chunky ones, and those will come in handy, so if you have bigger ones rather than the teeny tiny ones, I would suggest that. I have elastic. You could definitely go much thinner with the elastic. This is the elastic that we had on hand for making masks, so that's just what I'm going to use. And I have a hot glue gun, and I also have fabric fusion. Okay, so here's my other note. The fabric fusion, I think, will ultimately be a better choice. However, for the sake of demonstrating today, because fabric fusion takes forever to set and dry, especially when it comes out in big globs like it did, because that's a new bottle, and I cut the hole too big. Right now I can't even do the second step because this will just come apart. So I'll show you at what step this is at once we get to it with our buffalo plaid here. But if you have more time and you can let the fabric fusion set, that might, again, add to the longevity, make it kind of hold up a little bit better than the hot glue. So, first thing, oh, and I have a pencil too. Or you can have like a piece of chalk or something, but just something to mark your line for cutting. Alright, first step, first we're going to lay out our fabric, and actually, see here. Ooh, we're actually technically an inch short on this, but that's okay. Wait, is it a square? It probably is a square, because it's a bandana. That's what I get for not checking. I'm asking dumb questions on the, you know what, that's alright. We'll just go with 9 inches. It's actually going to save me a little time, because I'm going to have to do less gluing. Okay. So you want about 22 inches. I'm going to be working with 21. I don't think that last inch is going to make a huge difference. This was 22. It's got a nice little scrunch to it, but you know what? It's okay. 1 inch isn't going to make or break it. So then we're going to measure this way, the width of it, at 4.5. Okay? So you want 4.5 inches, and because this is 21 inches long, I can just go all the way across. I'm just going to make a line. I'm not going to stress too much about it being totally perfect, but yeah, I can already tell I sort of lost a little, although this print just might be, the print's not totally even. It's alright. Alright. So now I've got my line. I'm going to take my fabric shears and cut. I kind of want to get one of those little rolling cutter things. I think they would come in handy. This fabric is nice. It's nice and stiff. It's cutting very well. I got this over at Michael's. Okay. There we go. So we got our nice thing. Again, this is 21, but you can aim for 22 inches, and then 4.5 inches wide, and I'll place my excess over there. Let me just situate you here so you can see. little bit better. Okay, what I'm doing. So the first step would actually be to put just a little bead of hot glue on the side here and fold it over. This has a seam, so I'm going to skip that step for me personally. You can see right here, I just folded it over, and the purpose just being that you have a nice clean edge, okay? And you would do that on both sides. And then what we would do typically is turn it inside out like this. Now, I tried that 3 times as the directions that I was reading, and it came apart every single time. So when I did this, I kind of cheated a little bit, and I'm going to do it again. So I'm just going to fold it into the middle here. Because the idea is with this, now I'm going to have to pull the tube the right way out. And I thought, why do I keep doing that when I could just cheat and skip that part? Because this cools very quickly. Again, I have a nice clean edge here because I glued it. And you could always do that. Similar to what I just said about folding in a little edge here on the side, you could do that so that you have a nice clean look on the outside here too. Or you could do it the other way where you start inside out. I'll post a link in the comments with the directions that I am working from, and then that way you have a couple reference points here. Not the most even glue job I've ever done, but the print on this was a little bit wonky. It's not an even print like it was. So that's really throwing me off here. Okay. So now we basically have a tube, a sleeve, right? I'm just going to give that a second because it's still warm to the touch. I don't want it to come apart. And, yeah. Take a little sip of coffee. Don't need to rush things when you're crafting. Here, I'll show you these while we wait. I'll show you these beautiful hydrangeas. Aren't they lovely? Now would be a great time to have a second project going at the same time, but I don't. Okay, that should be enough time. So, we're gonna take a safety pin. I'm going to get a somewhat bigger one here. Let's see how this is holding up here. Oh, well, we have to cut this too. Alright, you want about 10 inches of your elastic. Okay. Cut that off. And now that you have that, you're actually going to take one safety pin, stick it through the elastic, and attach it here to your little tube so that that stays put. And then you're going to take this safety pin and attach it to the other side, and that is what you are going to be feeding through your tube here. Just makes it a little bit easier to feed through. I can tell you already this is going even smoother. This is the second one that I made, and it's even faster than the first one. And we're only coming up to 10 minutes here, and we're almost done. There we go. Ta-da! Just going to scrunch it a little bit here. Right. Don't want to lose use that side because now we're just going to knot it. So we're just going to take our knot. I did a little double knot, and I'm just going to make it sure it's real nice and secure. Tug on it, get it there. Yeah, there we go. You only have one last thing to do. We're going to tuck the one side into the other to complete our tube. And we're just going to secure it with a little bit more hot glue all the way around. Another stick. Oh, no, not good. I thought it was lower. Watch your fingers, of course. I'm notorious for burning myself on hot glue. Alright, look at that. It is done. I got a little hot glue on here. That's okay, that'll come off when it dries. I'm just going to floof it. Do a little floofing. And I made my own scrunchie. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now, I would say that actually, because I do have an inch less, I actually do notice a difference because it's a little less scrunchy. So maybe, I wonder if I had made the elastic a little bit tighter, but that's okay. This is gorgeous. I love this. Okay, the other thing to know is that the way that she instructs to do it in the video that I watched was, again, to hot glue it on by turning it inside out, basically, in the tube. So the only additional step you would need to do is put a safety pin on the end, and again, you're feeding it through to turn it right side out. And like I said, I just skipped that step, and I just glued it in a way that it was already clean looking, but I didn't have to turn it right side out because it was already right side out. That was just because I'm kind of lazy. But you can do it whichever way you would like. The other thing is that if you do so, this would be an extremely easy sewing project. You would simply just need to put stitches here, whether by hand or by machine, turn it inside out, and then I would probably hand sew once you put the elastic in. You could just hand sew it together, or you could do glue if you really want to. So those are my suggestions. Again, I was using hot glue today, which did seem to work actually a lot better on this fabric than it did on this fabric, so that may even have to do with the fabric itself, or possibly even the heat of the glue gun, I'm not sure. This one is, I think, is actually going to hold up a lot better than the other one. But you could always use fabric fusion, which may last a little bit longer, and if you really want it to be solid and last for a really long time, you could simply sew it. Alright, like I said, I will post the directions that I was working from in the comments below, and this is a little bit early today, I apologize, but my day schedule changed significantly. So if you were planning on watching this at 3 o'clock rather than now, sorry, but if it makes you feel better, you can always play this at 3 o'clock. Alright, have a wonderful day. I will have an adult DIY, and we'll be talking about pollinator water stations, but that is, of course, good for any age. It's an excellent way to assist pollinators in your garden. And then I have a kids DIY, and that will be making corner bookmarks. And pretty much all you need for that is origami paper, and again, all ages are welcome to join. It's just kind of a cute little thing you can do. And right now, during physical distancing, they also would be a cute thing to mail to somebody if if you would like. You can make little unique ones and send them as a gift. All right, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.